Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Continuously Refined. I'm Shayna.
And I'm Cicely. And today we wanted to dive into all things fragrances. And this is something that we've probably touched on in a couple episodes before, but this is the season of all things scents. And pumpkin spice and fall, and then you move into Christmas and you have everything with pine needles and Christmas trees and vanilla and gingerbread and all the amazing smells that we relate to these seasons, but they're doing so much more harm than good to us. And we just wanted to dive into the very nitty gritty about why these fragrances are so toxic. And we're not saying that you should completely cut out every single smell in your life. There are better ways to smell these things through a natural way. And so we're also going to talk about that.
Yes, most of these fragrances that we are talking about are synthetic and fake and super, super harmful for your overall health, especially your hormones. And so, one of the things that Cicely and I cut out very early on were these synthetic fragrances. And that even comes from the candles that you light in your homes, the perfumes, colognes, what is sprayed in hotel lobbies, apartments, wall scents, car refresheners. All of these great smelling things are causing a lot of harm to your body and your overall health. So, they can even come up to, I think it's important to touch on deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, lotion, laundry detergent, cleaning products. Anything that quote unquote smells good in your house or daily life is most likely synthetic and negatively impacting your health.
Yeah. So when you see fragrance, what that actually means when it's listed on an ingredient label is basically this big catch-all term that hides up to 4,000 plus different chemicals. You
Sane.
honestly have no idea that one word, like even I know like native body wash, right? Like you'll see they'll just put like all these like good things and then you see fragrance and you think, oh, okay, like it's not that bad. Like it's just fragrance. But fragrance really has a million different chemicals because companies don't have to disclose what's inside them. So, this loophole that they have where they don't have to disclose this allows these fragrances to be endocrine disruptors. Some of them are carcinogens, and some of them you might be allergic to also without realizing it.
Yeah, so the number one reason that I cut these out of my life was because of the big word endocrine disruptors that we talk so much about the toxicity that just happens in our natural life. And what we can control in our homes, we should control and we should try to decrease. So these endocrine disruptors come from phthalates and parabens that are mimicking and interfering with the communication of hormones in your body. And over time, it really, really has a negative impact, especially on your thyroid, on our fertility, and on our overall metabolism. Another reason these are toxic is because of your respiratory system and they really irritate it. So there is benzene derivatives, formaldehyde. They irritate your lungs. They can worsen asthma if you already have it or your children have it. And they cause really chronic inflammation in your body. And something that I think is a really good overall highlight of what we talk about in health is decreasing inflammation in your body. Because when your body's inflamed via these fragrances or the food that we eat, it can't work normally. These fragrances are also considered neurotoxins because they contain aroma chemicals that affect the nervous system. So, when you've ever been in front of a candle for too long and you get a headache, or you're fatigued, or brain fog, or have mood swings, these are neurotoxins. And we'll get into more detail in this in a little bit, but the way that your brain takes in scents is a lot different than any of our other sensories that we have. And so they're extremely toxic because of that. And then a fourth reason we wanted to touch on for why they are toxic is because of bioaccumulation. And pretty much over time, when we are constantly surrounded by these chemicals, they build up in our body and they have been actually found, all of these chemicals in human tissues, in the breast milk, and in like aquatic life. Like we urinate and it goes all the way out to the sea and it just keeps going and it's found in fish. Like it's crazy the impact that these super toxic industrialized things have on our environment, not just on ourselves, but if it's bad for the environment, it's probably bad for you too.
It also just shows you how long they stick around in your body. For them to be found in human tissues and different things, like they will live in our body for such a long period of time, and it is so hard to get rid of them because we're surrounded by them all the time. So, studies have linked chronic fragrance exposure to kind of some of the things we've talked about already, but hormone imbalances, reproductive issues, asthma and allergies, your migraines and your brain fog. If you've ever thought about when you walk into Bath and Body Works or those big fragrance stores and you automatically like just get a sensory overload, you start getting a headache, all these things, that's not just because you're overwhelmed. Like it's because your body is genuinely telling you this isn't a good idea. Like I shouldn't be surrounded by all of this. Your skin irritation, your eczema, and then it just increases your toxic load overall, especially when it's combined with all of the other heavy metals and toxic things that we have currently in our lives.
So when I found out that I had hormone imbalances and one of the things I needed to do was decrease my toxic exposure and especially endocrine disruptors, I got rid of everything with the word fragrance. I threw away every perfume, every candle, and then I got bored and I was like, what the heck? I want to smell good. Like, I still want to put perfume on. Well, there's a few awesome brands out there, but one that I really like is Dime, Dime. So there are options, and you can choose fragrance-free or essential oil-based products. These are like natural essential oils that we are a lot less sensitive to because they come from the earth and they are natural and they are good for you. So, also something important to look for, those like labels have no synthetic fragrance, it's phthalate free, or we love the EWG, the Environmental Working Group website, because if they are not sponsored, but if they are like partnered, that's the word, with
Mhm.
EWG, their products are meeting these health standards that are way above those of the FDA. Like the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, is amazing and they have very, very high health standards. So if a product is partnered with them, 9 out of 10 times, it is an awesome, great option. Something that's really important to have and really decrease these chemicals throughout your home too is to have air filters, air purifiers that are help HEPA filters, and it'll just clear out your air and make sure that we are breathing in good air. Swap out your, we talk about it all the time, cleaning products. Use vinegar, baking soda, Castile soap. Um, with the candles, if it's soy or beeswax based, it's really awesome. You can also use simmer pots where you get a pot with water and you put in lots of goodies, cinnamon sticks, apples, cloves, and you just boil it, simmer it, and it makes your house smell delicious. Also, be very mindful of laundry detergent and those sheets that you put in your dryer because those scents are lingering and on your skin. And that's how it's penetrating our bodies too and getting into our tissues and the breast milk and things like that.
Yeah, I love summer pots and diffusers to make your home smell good, but still using like clean natural ingredients. I mean, a summer pot, you're using fruit and cinnamon and things that came just from the earth and are one ingredient, which is
Mhm.
awesome. And then diffusers, you're using those essential oils that we've talked about and how those can be good for you. So, fragrance in the brain connection we really want to talk about. We want to dive into more of how it affects our systems in our body, our nervous system, why scent really affects your mood, your stress, your hormones, and like just the science behind why that is genuinely so bad. So, it attacks your limbic system. When you inhale a scent, your odor molecules travel directly to the olfactory bulb,
Mhm.
which is part of your brain's limbic system. And that is where the emotional control center that's responsible for your memory, your mood, your behavior, and your hormone regulation is. So, unlike other senses like sight, sound, and touch, scent bypasses that rational part of your brain and it connects immediately to the emotional center. And that's why a smell can trigger a very vivid memory. If you've ever walked in somewhere and you smell something, and you're like, oh my God, this reminds me of this vacation, or this perfume reminds me of this. That's because it automatically triggers that emotional center before you're even consciously aware of it.
They're super, super powerful. And your brain pretty much intercepts this scent as a signal. So it's either for safety and comfort, like if you have a diffuser with lavender and that's natural, or very dangerous and toxic. And so the body needs to work in overdrive to get this out. So synthetic fragrances really confuse our nervous system. And many of these labs are mimicking a natural smell. So they aren't, so then they don't activate the brain in the same way because it's synthetic and not real. So instead of promoting a calm feel, now you're stimulating the nervous system and freaking it out. And so you're going to have these stress responders and have this level of elevated cortisol, disrupted sleep, low grade anxiety. And over time, when you're getting this chronic exposure to these fragrances, it's going to desensitize your olfactory receptors and dull your ability to actually detect and then have your body respond in normal ways to these natural scents. And we want our body to be able to get certain smells and then be grounded and calm us. But if we're constantly overstimulated by these synthetic fragrances, that's not going to happen. And our body's then not working how it's supposed to be.
Because the limbic system also regulates our hypothalamus and our pituitary glands, these are the master glands of hormone balance, and we've talked about them before in other episodes we've done with hormones. Our exposure to synthetic fragrances directly influences cortisol, which is our stress hormone. It keeps our body in that fight or flight mode that is so bad for our body to be in. It directly influences our melatonin and serotonin. It disrupts our sleep cycles and our mood regulation. So we might not know when to react to certain things in the way that we would normally react. And our reproductive hormones. And that's through the endocrine disrupting chemicals like phthalates that we've talked about that can directly alter our estrogen and testosterone balances in our bodies. So people who remove artificial scents often report that they had better sleep, they got fewer headaches, they had a more stable energy throughout the day, and that they had overall less anxiety. And it is genuinely proven that it wasn't placebo effect. It was your nervous system. They say, like, finally being able to exhale. You were finally able to relax, and you didn't have all these other fragrances telling your brain different things.
I think it's really important to note too that all of these companies that are selling these fragrances are geniuses. They are business goers who are wanting to make the most profit off of you. And marketers know science very well. They use these fragrances strategically to evoke certain emotions. So whether that's clean laundry, and that's going to be the freshness that you see, vanilla, having comfort, ocean breeze, and then you can feel free. They are geniuses, but with these emotional cues that are coming from synthetic or fake fragrances rather than real, true, botanical, when you walk outside and you smell the roses, your body is having these mixed emotional signals without the true biochemical harmony. So it's like an analogy that I read once is it's pressing the gas and the brake at the same time because your body is trying to push the brake, get this fake crap out of me, but then like, ooh, this smells really good. What's happening? And it confuses our bodies a lot. So you're being tricked and continuing to buy these crap-filled fragrances.
Yeah, I can testify firsthand that we literally learned about scent marketing in my marketing classes. And
Yeah.
I think it's the coolest thing that brands use it, but it's so terrible for you. Like Dunkin' Donuts has used it before on bus stops. They were really struggling to get customers into like a corner location that they had. So at one of the bus stops outside, they put up a Dunkin' Donuts billboard and they were pumping out scents of their coffee. And people didn't even realize it, but it was hitting their brain. And then they were like, oh my gosh, I want to go get this now. Hotel lobbies use it so that when you walk into a hotel, you constantly recognize their brand. I know Mrs. Fields Cookies uses it. If you've ever been in the mall and then you walk past the cookies and you smell that, it's not necessarily because they just came out of the oven. It's because that they are pumping the smell that they know that will lure you in. And so it is something to be very cognizant of because that'll trick your brain. And once you know about it, you'll catch it every single time.
Oh yeah,
But
genius is genius.
it's so smart.
Hmm.
There are natural scents, as we've talked about, that can work to be medicine to your nervous system. And so, authentic natural sites, so the essential oils that come straight from plants or from the woods, can support the limbic system because they contain real chemical compounds that interact in a beneficial way with your body instead of negatively. So, lavender promotes GABA production, which is a calming neurotransmitter. Citrus oils can directly boost serotonin and your energy, And frankincense has been studied for its grounding and anti-inflammatory effects, which is so different than the inflammatory effects of every other synthetic fragrance. So this is why aromatherapy has always been around and will continue to be around because it triggers that scent brain connection, but it heals it instead of just hijacking it from that.
Yeah, and overall, if you want to be the healthiest version of yourself and continue to refine your life, especially with these endocrine disruptors, get rid of the freaking fragrances. Take that car refreshener out of your car, please. Unplug those crappy scents that you have around your house. Check your lotions, check your deodorant, your perfumes. There are natural alternatives, and I promise you, your body is going to thank you. It's Fragrances are a beautiful thing if they are natural. The Lord knew what he was doing when he created us and created the world to cohabitate and work together. And we need to really decrease this industrialized crap that is all over our world if we want to keep living healthier lives.
1000%. So if you want to take one step to better health today, we recommend that you cut out your fragrances. And so we hope that you guys have learned a lot from this episode and that you've enjoyed listening. And follow us on Instagram at continuously refined to stay up to date with everything. And we'll talk to you guys again in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.